welcome to Comfy Cozy Up. So we are in November, so don't forget a journal mood is happening. So whenever you see this video you want to jump in. The calendar is over on my Instagram and it is also on my blog, and over my Instagram you get to see other people who are doing the challenge as well. So let's get to October. October was a fun month, but also ended womp at the end. But I didn't read a lot in October, to be honest, because the first week I was just enjoying my birthday, celebrating, doing a lot of things that I haven't been able to do in the last couple of years. So that was my focus, which I shared, so you get to see the series. What I did was wearing what I made, and I'm not mad about it. However, I would say the books that I did read, very memorable. One of them is absolutely my favorite so far, as far as the book list. And I shouldn't say that because there's another one that I like to, almost as the same. We'll get into that. So I failed at Victober. Just gonna put that out there. I did not finish one book. I did start a Siler Manor, and this is where I got to the book. It is not finished, so I'm going to continue eventually, get back to it, and maybe read another one of the books that I did want to read. I have a lot of free time this month, and then I'm completely off in December, a whole month of vacation, so happy about that. The classic that I did finish happens to be a book that was a part of the subscription jar. Again, this is a book I've never heard of. It is, I will say as of right now, the oldest classic I've read. It is published back in 1748, and that is Fanny Hill. It's Memoirs of a Woman of Pleasure by John Cleland. Let me tell you, it is erotic. It is considered one of the most banned books ever in history, and there is a reason why. This book is basically the sex life of a young girl. She's of course older and writing a letter sharing her past. So she became at the mercy of others when her parents passed away from smallpox. And so she was all on her own and did not have any means to survive, especially being a young girl. So she's in a people's house, and of course things happen. This really gives a rundown of the sexual exploration that she explored in terms of what she liked, what was brought upon her, and what she didn't like. And there is some matters of the heart that happened as well with this story. Pleasure is described in different ways that are sometimes uncomfortable, especially when you find out how old she was. But then also in ways where she explored things that made her feel good, not quite understanding the circumstance around it and what it means, but it felt good to her, that kind of deal. And then she has moments towards it when she got older, and how she talks about there's that morality of it that she's talks about, which kind of made her a hypocrite in some sense of things that she did do that she enjoyed. This was interesting because I was also reading the last book in the Salacious series by Sarah Kate. Now that is the 6th book, and this book and Madame, there are things about it that is that's in this book that was completely surprising to me, because again, 1748, the whole idea of pain and pleasure and the thin line between that, and people using flogging in a way to explore their desire in terms of what they're dealing with. Like it becomes more than just a sex, it's more of a mental pleasure. I can't put the words what I want to say, but just get an idea of that between these two books. Now, I highly recommend this. I think this is one of those classics that I think if you're into romance, erotica, that you probably should read, just because of how the story is told, and you get to actually see how we have evolved in terms of books that are now considered nothing, no big deal, and are go beyond, more graphic, I guess that's the best way to put it, versus how it's written in this. It becomes more poetic in this book. I mean, literally, it felt like poetry in motion. And so that's what I appreciate about the writing style in this. Now, when you think of Madame, Madame is a dame. She is that woman that will give you what you want and intervene in other people's relationship when she's requested. But in this story, you get to know her. You get to know her when she's stripped down and in normal clothes, of her being a mother that a lot of people didn't know she was. And also her experience past that made her guard her heart and never get attached to anyone. Except for this happened now where she get attached to a man that she had to let go because of that attachment. He's now dating someone else who sought after her after she learned who she is. It's more of a young girl wanting to be a certain character. But in this, you get to see what her kink is, because each book has a kink. And her kink was different from all the other books, which I think how the author was able to maintain the different kind of kinks in the story, because how much sex can you talk about, in a book? But respectfully, she did her thing in this, and I can really appreciate how she wrote this book. Now, the storyline, it was sweet. It was actually not what I expected. It is a poly relationship, and I was rooting for them in terms of, okay, I can see how this will work. But at the same time, for some reason, I wanted a little bit more from Madame. I felt like the real Madame, of what I thought the real Madame was going to have, she was much softer and much more vulnerable than she portrayed herself when she's in the Salacious Club. So that threw me off a little bit. But nevertheless, I thought it was a good ending to the series. I don't know where she's going, because there's a lot of branch off. There's a lot of them having kids. We don't know. We don't know. But we figured out. Then I read one Caribbean book, and that is What's Up Badayard. And this one is from Carol Mitchell. I met her at Brooklyn Book Festival, which she talked about the book. There's a video of it, so you can check out that video. This is basically a grown woman. She's in her 40s now, and one morning she had an encounter with a woman who said to her that she was her sister. This unlocked a lot of suppressed memories, a lot of things that she had blocked since she was around 17, 18, around that time period. So you don't know her life in Jamaica. You don't know how she was now. Here she is in America with her husband. Her husband is Trinidadian lawyer who was struggling when he just got to, America. And then eventually he, became a lawyer and started building his career. And so he also questioned why we never went to Jamaica. How comes I don't know anything? But she has an aunt that lives in America, and this particular aunt is who raised her, and bits and pieces of what she's telling her is considered to be the truth. But we all know in the story, based on how it's written, that secrets are going to explore. She did eventually in a book find herself back in Jamaica, and that's when the story really unfolds. You learn so much about what happened and why it was depressing, and why she ended up suppressing those painful memories. The thing about this book is the beginning, there's parts in the front that I kind of felt like was dragging a little, that you kind of lose the connection to the story, but then if you stick through it pick up. But once it pick up, it was so good, and I was like, okay. But then the ending is like, I love open ending, but this kind of ending, I felt like I had too many questions. I had so much question about things that was going to happen, because once all the memory came back and she realized what happened and how she's dealing with it, it was like, you got a bag of stuff back home to go deal with. Like, I want to know how you dealing with a bag of stuff that back home. But it became so much about, the story is literally about her finding out, her unlocking her memory, and her realizing her past. And so for me, it wasn't, there's just too many loose ends for me that I just kind of felt like I really wanted it to be like, but it needed a little bit more tweaking. That's how I felt. So I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. This is one of those like 3 stars kind of book where there's a potential of it being better, but it didn't get to the heights I wanted. But I do recommend reading it. I wouldn't say not read it, because some people might be okay with that kind of ending. But yeah. Then I had to read Miss Sophia Sinclair. You know, the book I'm going to be reading in November, which is How to Say Babylon. So this is a poetry book. This is a award book. And I've been reading all of it. Some I bookmark, some I going to share. And I thought about throughout this month and maybe December, small section. That's the word. Small section of it in videos, because I think this is such a good poetry book. So if you have not, and look at the cover, guys. I mean, isn't this cover just absolutely stunning? So I will share more. It is a fabulous, well done poetry book. So if you are a poet and you like, or if you love reading poetry, I highly suggest you pick this one up. And then the book that had me so much emotion. I mean, when I tell you this book, let's hope this video don't cut off, guys. When I tell you this book had me screaming, oh my God, The Bee Sting, Paul Murray. Let me tell you, this is the 4th book I read off the Booker, and let me tell you, this one is the one that really got me jumping out of my skin. I love How I Survive You, and of course this, but I'll talk more because I still got 2. Well, I finished the 5th one already. We'll talk about that later, and then I still have 1 more to read, so I'm 5 out of 6 so far, but I will give you the rundown. But let me tell you, this is a family saga. This is 4 members of a family, 4 perspective. You are really getting the nitty-gritty of each of them, what they're dealing with, how they feel about their family, how they feel about themselves, the life they wanted versus the life they chose. And it gets so entangled with everything that even the ending of this book was epic. This is an open ending that I can appreciate, because the way it ends, you just kind of like, and then you're like, boom, that's it. And I'm like, oh, this MF is gonna stir the pot with a lot of readers. And I'm like, he did it. Look at this, could have been 200 more pages and I would still have been reading. That's how I love chunky books that can really grab you and give you what you want and still want you to turn a page where you're not going to feel like, oh my God, this book is taking forever. No, it was more like the suspense. What's going to happen? PJ, the son, the young boy. I was in there talking to a couple of the guys at work about what happened to him with the gaming situation. And I'm like, you know, and they're like, yeah, that happened. And I'm like, he had me screaming. There's a particular part in this book that the author just kind of ended there. And then you got to go to the next chapter and you're like, who? And then when you find out, you're like, oh, it's like you're clutching the invisible pearl. I was screaming at this boy to run. Then you have the girl, she just get on my nerve. That's how the story starts, with the girl Cass. And for me, Cass was just annoying teenage girl that's going through it. That's like the matter of the heart, but then also trying to live someone else's life, and also, you know, going through it's teenagers, so she was going through it. So she annoyed me in the beginning, where I was like, where's this book going? But I'm glad it wasn't just focused on her, because this would have been a no-no. Then you have the mama stories, when I was like, oh, this book is good. That's when I really was just like, how this author is like digging into this family. That mama story was something else. And then I thought it couldn't get no better till we get to the dad story. The dad storyline is what really get this book reeling. And that dad storyline is sad. I almost felt bad for Dickie at first. And then I was kind of like, no, you made a decision. You chose that. Get your ish together. And it's just how mentally it was affecting him, and how all the secret that really would have destroyed him and his family was affecting him, and the decision he chose, and how there's this idea of the family having this vision and and they're not sure what it is, but always feel compelled to go towards it, and how the mother is just, this is happening and was going towards it to stop something that she don't even know what she's stopping. I should have did a reading vlog for this. I am so upset I did not do a reading vlog for this, because I kind of was just like, I don't know where it's going to take me. But just know, absolutely love this book. And I'm so happy a book really got me feeling some kind of way this year, because I was wondering what is going on with this list. But again, I'm saving it for another video to really talk about this year. But this, I'm loving this. I love this. I love this daggone book. Read it. Ah, this did it. This did it for me this month, and I'm so glad that this is the last book I read in October at the end of the month. Sweet. So yeah, pick up this chunky book. You won't regret it, again, because it's a 4-person perspective. That's really why it's so lengthy, because it's like you follow in 4 lives. So it's multiple stories within a story. So, but again, you won't feel it. You won't feel it. Now, if you read this book and you love it, if you didn't like it, I need to know why. Except for, you can't tell me because of the ending. Don't do that. Because the open end is my thing, so that's not going to help you with that. Tell me something else that why you didn't like this book, for those of you who read this. Other than that, yeah, I'm hyped. This book got me hyped. It got me hyped, and I might still talk about it more. We don't know, but that's how I feel. So I read 5 books total. Yeah, 5 books, and yeah, I'm good. Anyway, let me tell you. I can't speak now. I'm so hyped for this book. Give me your favorite book that you read this in October, and we're talking. You would love for me to read it, because I'm still trying to build this jar up, and that would help even for next year, because we already picked November book. So go check out the shorts, and then of course there's one more book for December. But yeah, let me know, and let me go cool off after talking about this book. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.